Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Before we jump into the martial law guide, I don't need to tell you what a tough year it's been for fighting games since we haven't had any major offline events until now. So, over the past few weeks, We Play Esports have been holding the Ultimate Fighting League in Ukraine. The Mortal Kombat 11 and Soul Calibur 6 tournaments were super entertaining, and for the next couple of days, the best Tekken players from around the world will be duking it out for $50,000. If you watch the live stream on Twitch, there's even a chance of winning a PlayStation 5. Yes, apparently they exist. This is going on right now, so check out the link in the description for more details. I'm super glad that we're finally having some high-level, international, offline competition again. So many thanks to We Play Esports for putting this all together. So tune in, support the scene, and I hope you enjoy Lore in a nutshell. Alright everyone, hope you're well. Today we're going to be covering Lore in a nutshell. Lore, traditionally in Tekken, used to be this super aggressive, in-your-face, kind of, poking kind of character. And he still is that to an extent. But from Tekken 7 particularly, he was made into much more of a versatile all-rounder, albeit with a focus on close-range aggression. A fun thing about Lore is that because he's so versatile, there is a lot of room for experimentation and there's a lot of room to express yourself through this character. Lore players play very differently to one another. Some of them will play very defensively, very keep-out focused. Some of them will go ham with the jabs, and some will be somewhere in the middle. Every Lore player is quite distinct, and that is a cool thing about this character, You can express yourself, you can be like water. So let's go over martial law's strengths. Pokes, yeah, fast pokes. He has a down forward one, not the best down forward one in the game, but a down forward nonetheless. Fast aggressive poking, yeah, which he can naturally transition into heavier mix-ups. So he can poke around, transition, and then mix up, right? Keep out, really good keep out. Magic 4, down forward 2, hard to get in on him. Panic moves, one of the best parries in the game to ward off pressure. Good jab strings. If you're feeling really YOLO, there's the classic, right? We'll get into that later. And now, from Tekken 7 onwards, Whiff Punishment. His Whiff Punishment is really good. So there is his main strengths. Weaknesses. Lore struggles to approach. He struggles to close distance. His mid-range is not the best. The other big weakness with Lore, I'd say probably his singular weakness, is his ability to make comebacks. His rage drive is maybe the worst rage drive in the game. It comes from a seeable low. His mix-ups are good, but risky. So, if I did this, and then a minus 18, right? If this gets blocked, also a combo. His bigger mix-ups are risky. His Oki isn't that strong, and overall, he struggles to snowball damage, right? Like, compare this to Shaheen's Okizeme after a slide, it's much better. Or compare it to Kazuya's Okizeme after a Hell Sweep. It's much, much stronger. Lore is kind of a death by 1,000 cuts kind of character. I would say that Lore, at a competitive level of play, despite the meme that he's like this brainless 3-bar character, at a high level of play, he's actually quite difficult. His combos are have a lot of technicality to them. You have to master his DSS to maximize his combo potential. A bit tricky. You can actually combo from his while standing 4 on counter hits into 3+4 with a frame perfect DSS cancel, but it's crazy hard to do, and only a few players can do it consistently. I would say Lore's tier ranking, I guess, because the meta is quite established by now. He's very, very strong, but I think he falls just outside the top 10. I think people generally overrate him a little bit. His inability to really snowball rounds is something that a lot of Tekken characters have now. Before we get into this, let's talk briefly about DSS and what it is. DSS stands for Dragon Sign Stance. You go into Dragon Sign by pressing back forward, then the proper cancel is back forward forward. There you go. He can cancel into DSS from a variety of moves, but the most important ones are while standing 4, 4-3, and purely for combos, 4 up 3. And you want to press back forward during the move, and then forward again just as it ends. See? And I'm left at there +6. The maximum from 4-3 is +8. +8. That's a perfect DSS cancel from 4-3. Really, the only real pressure you can get from DSS now is from while standing 4. Yeah? Because this doesn't jail anymore. But yeah, you can occasionally slip this in. Even at a high level. Just don't use it too often. Otherwise, it'll get ducked. That's a brief introduction to DSS. So let's go into his key moves. And let's start with pokes. One of Law's key pokes is jabs. He has a very good jab. 1-2 and 1-2-3. He has very good jab strings. Interesting thing about Law is that for a male character, his limbs are quite stubby and he's quite short, which means that, for example, his down forward 1 and his magic 4, despite having great whiff recovery, don't have great range. But because of the animation of his jab, how he steps into his jab, they changed it in Tekken 6, his jabs are actually really good. And his 1-2 is only -1. And then he has one of the best jab strings in the game with 1-2-3. And this is all guaranteed on counter hit. It's safe on block. Like, combine the fact that this is only -1, and then there's a potential follow-up behind it. Just jabbing around with Law is quite effective. So like jab, jab, 1-2, 1-2, sidestep 1-2, down forward 1, down back 3, you know? He's quite an oppressive character up close, and his jab strings are at the heart of that. And another core element of his poking is down forward 1. His down forward 1 is admittedly one of the weaker down forward ones in the game. It doesn't have very good range. It has a very high hitbox, you can see. Way up there. But it's still a down forward 1. It's still only -1 on block. So 1-2, 1-2, 1-1, down forward 1, sidestep 1-2. That's very, very cool. 1-2-3. Another core part of his poking is down back 3. One of the best poking lows in Tekken 7. Really, really, really good. Yeah? Because look at all the advantages it has. +4. Forces crouch. On counter hit, toe stub stun, which leaves you at +14. A huge advantage. You can do anything you like. Also very hard to step. See? Side step left, side step right. He also has another decent poking low with down 4-3. You generally want to stick to down back 3 though. This is a lot riskier because you can duck the second hit. See? So you can potentially launch and also it takes him back to mid-range. Law wants to be up close, suffocating you with jabs and pokes, and this is a really good tool for that. And because backdash is made weaker in Tekken 7, it's hard to backdash away from as well. So those are his main pokes. Jabs, good jabs, jab strings, 1-2-3, down forward 1, down back 3, and those are his key core close range poking tools. Let's talk a bit about his tracking moves. Generally, you want to step Law to the right when he's poking, but there are some exceptions. You don't always step Law to the right. Notice that 1-2 is steppable to the right. Right? Side step right. Side step right. And also, his down forward 1, you sidestep to the right. Okay? And you stop sidestepping, usually with either down back 3 or back 4. Tracking move. Mid. Safe. Also has an extension, which is also safe, but it's a non-jailing mid-high string. Yay, we love those. Because it recovers quite quickly even of itself, -7, yeah? You can actually just kind of go crazy and go spin to win with Law. Rip does this all the time. He has a lot of options after back 4. You can do back 4-3, which is a natural combo. As mentioned, mid-high. You can also hold back to go into back turn. It's not really a mix-up because you can generally just sidestep left everything he does from this, but it's another thing to watch out for, right? Like there are some tricky back turn setups. For example, see? Tricky, huh? You go into back turns, step away, whiff punish. If they don't press anything, you're in perfect range for slide. That's nasty. It's a fun little thing to do with Law. Other moves to stop steppers. Down forward 2 for some reason has a bit of tracking, which is a bit nuts. It's a bit wild because yeah, it is a safe mid launcher. So I'll try and sidestep it to the left. I'll try and sidestep it to the right. Kind of dumb. I believe you need to side walk it, yeah, which is more of a commitment. His main tracking move from mid range is back 3. Slower, also safe on block. safe on block due to the pushback, and you can also go into back turn from it. And in general, he's a hard character to step. I mentioned you want to sidestep down forward 1 to the right, but his forward 1+2, which is the main way he starts mix-ups, you have to sidestep that to the left. So he's just a hard character to step in general. Speaking of forward 1+2 or Dragon Hammer, whilst poking around, Law can naturally transition into mix-ups with the Dragon Hammer. This is really, really good. It's a mid. It's plus on block. Combos on counter hit. For a nice lick of damage, right? And you can also hold down to go into crouch. Crouch is where Law gets his most intimidating mix-up. After a forward 1+2, you can frame trap with while standing 4. So that's what you use to keep people honest. Yeah, be careful because it might get sidestepped. And while standing 4 itself, as we mentioned earlier, is also cancelable into DSS. And you can use that to reset the pressure and go back into neutral. Once you've kept opponents honest, after Dragon Hammer, you can scare them with slide. You mix up the slide, the low. You can mix this up with while standing 1, 2, which is not hit confirmable, but it is hit confirmable on counter hits. Be careful, this is a non-jailing mid-high. Be careful, right? If you're feeling really, really frisky, you can also go for while standing 2, which is -18, but has a bit of pushback. Some laws get away with it, but experienced players will generally launch punish this. Now, he has a bit of also a throw mix. Law is one of those characters who is blessed with a launching throw, which is 4/4 3+4. Right? Not many characters have something like this. Now, the problem with it is that it's very telegraphed and easy to break because it comes from a dash and it's a 1+2. If you see Law dash and you see him throw, most players will just tap 1+2 to get out of it. What you can do as a counterplay to that is you dash in and you do forward 2+3 instead, which is a very tricky move, a very tricky throw to break because it's he's throwing you with his leg. Yeah, it's very unconventional. It's quite hard to break, I think. But what works against it is that it has very low range, even for a throw. Yeah. And also, 1 breaks are more easily broken on accident, as any king player will let you know. Because when you're panicking, most people tend to mash stick jabs or jabs in general, and you might accidentally get a throw break. Despite being inputted with 2+3, it is a 1 break. The best way generally to try and land his that throw is buffering it. Most typically after down forward 1 or after 1-2. Right? Like that. It's still a little bit telegraphed, but it's the best time to try and do it. And finally, let's go into his back turns. If you really want to enforce a mix from back turn, it's best to go into it from 2 back 2 as a punish, which leaves him at +7, which means you can't sidestep this. See? Generally, if you see Law go into back turned raw, for example, like if he goes into back turned raw from like back 4, what you want to do to kind of invalidate everything is, yeah, you can just step left, okay? Left, not right. His hop kick, you need to step to the left, but it catches sidestep right. This is what makes sidestep right such a big risk from back turn. If you see Law go into back turn, sidestep left, low parry, catches the low, evades the mid. And you can punish, right? That's great. Sidestep left, low parry. Generally, when he's poking, Law, you want to step to the right, but if you see him go into back turn, sidestep left, low parry is a really good option to select. But he can always opt to not go into back turn, that's the thing, of course. When he's in back turn, he can always do down 3 as well. This will catch stepping to both directions, leaves him at +3, yeah? Kind of like Kunimitsu, right? But it's not very high damage. And because of the pushback, it's not too hard to backdash and disengage. We've talked about pokes, we've talked about mix-ups. Let's talk a bit about keep outs. And there's not much to go over here. His main keep out tools are Magic 4, right? Really good. Its whiff recovery is one of the lowest. I believe he has the lowest whiff recovery for a Magic 4 in the game, so it's very safe to throw this out. His down forward 2 as well. Doesn't push him forward much. Good keep out tool. So if you're in the mid-range and you want to discourage opponents from getting in, Magic 4 and down forward 2, those are your go-tos, and they're both very, very strong. Experienced lore players like to do things like whiff while standing 1, Magic 4. While standing 1 also has very low whiff recovery. So you do this to bait them to come in, and then pow. Don't rely on this, but an experienced lore player will do stuff like that. I've seen Rip do this in matches, and it works. Let's go on to Whiff Punishment. When it comes to Whiff Punishment, the first thing you think of about lore is, of course, 3+4. This is absolutely, at mid-range, probably the best mid-range Whiff Punisher in Tekken 7. It's pretty incredible. First of all, it's 14 frames, which also makes it a good block punisher. Really massive range. Really fast. Single input, no like dashing or anything. Also, because it's 2 inputs, you can whiff confirm it. So if I do this and I see it hit, I can't like tap 4. No human being can do that. It's not hit confirmable, but it is whiff confirmable. So you can confirm if the opponent threw something out, and during the startup to 3+4, you're like, confirmed, you did a whiff, and I'm doing 3+4, and I feel confident pressing my follow-up to it. Close range, he has everything he needs. Like from a sidestep, he has 1-1-2. He has down forward 2. Like, you know, if they whiff up close, down forward 2 is pretty good as well. 3-4, you can do that from a sidestep. Nice lick of damage. Sidestep 3+4. Yeah, this is unsafe on block. Yeah, so it's -12, but very fast. 15 frame mid that launches crouches, leads to a screw state. Right? So Whiff Punishment, lore is really, really good at Whiff Punishment. Let's talk about his approach. And this is one of the areas that lore is kind of lacking, actually. He struggles to close distance. Really annoying up close, great jab string, like one of the best low pokes in the game, but like he struggles to get in. His control of the mid-range is lacking. Probably the best string you can use to kind of muscle your way in is either maybe like 1, 2, 3. Kind of risky though. You can backdash it, you can sidestep right. Another option is back 2. Again, not the best option, but it's there. Because this is Junkyard, right? Everyone knows that when you see back 2, oh yeah, parry the low. Right? But experienced players will be looking for that low. So you can kind of enforce, what is that word that Aris likes? Mental frame advantage, that's it. You're -8, yeah? You're -8. You shouldn't be able to do anything here. But because the second 2 hits of Junkyard are comboable on counter hits, right? You can get a nice lick of damage if they press buttons. Like at low level of play, this is like, you know, you throw it out like, oh yeah, you know, a low after a mid, well, they can't do anything about that. Oh yeah, I can mix it up with a low. At higher levels, it's used to catch opponents who are trying to challenge you after back 2. And the other extension is back 2-1. And yeah, like if you're trying to low parry this, you duck it and you just launch it. So yeah. So all the extensions from back 2 are either high or low. But you can condition opponents not to press buttons after back 2 and maybe start your pressure. Don't get too over eager with that though. You are still at -8. Yeah, you shouldn't be doing stuff. Another nice but risky way to get in is the threat of slide. Remember, the slide is from mid-range. You can threaten with the slide from like around here. Really long range low. Opponents, when they tend to see it, they tend to freeze up, they tend to crouch. So you can do something like the classic. Crouch for a bit, running 3. Now you're in their face with +7. I think one more thing I can mention, though, it's a bit risky, is back 1-2. Yeah, it's -14. All of them are -14. If you think he's gonna do the last hit, you sidestep it to the left, clean launch. The thing with back 1-2-2 is that it all combos on counter hit, and it is counter hit confirmable, but it is risky. It is risky because it's -14, the last hit you can sidestep left. The point I'm trying to get at here is that lore has to generally take a risk to close distance. It's one of his main weaknesses. closing distance and making comebacks are the areas that Law is weak at. Let's talk a bit about panic moves. So Law has really strong pressure, but he's also hard to pressure because his parry is really, really good. See? Doing this is a little bit tricky because you have to cancel it into DSS. Look at my inputs. You do the parry, and you go back, back, forward, forward, and whatever you want. And generally, you want to go into like DSS 1-4. That's guaranteed on any parry. Really good. Really hard to pressure him. Don't get too over eager with it, yeah? You know, if he whiffs it, he leaves himself open, but it's a strong parry, one of the stronger parries in the game. Now, the other panic moves, well, of course, there's the classic, right? There's this, right? On counter hit, he can combo from a down jab, but it is -15, making it launch punishable by most characters. Very, very risky, yeah? But you know, the classic strat online or for like lower intermediate levels is something with Law, something like 1-2-3, down 2-3. That's the classic, right? And if you think they're gonna do that, backdash. Oh, you're dead, right? You know? How I like to think about down 2-3 is you're a fool to do it, but you're also a fool never to do it. Because, man, he can launch from a down jab. That's fucking insane. Very risky, but you gotta show to the opponent that you are willing to get wild with Law. And of course, he also has, you know, hop kick. Yeah, you gotta tap the up forward. Otherwise, you get flip kick. He actually has a lot of variations. He has flip kick, double flip kick, hop kick, delayed hop kick. Right? Generally, you want to use hop kick. And yeah, his punch parry is not that great anymore. Like, he doesn't get that much reward from it. People like to think that, oh yeah, you know, Law beats Steve because he has punch parry and Steve punches a lot. Nah. If you see him do this, run in, use an elbow, use a kick, use a hop kick. Let's quickly go over his block punishers. 10 frames, 1-1-2. Pretty good. +6, nice lick of damage. -11, 4-3 into DSS. Perfect DSS cancel, I believe. Is that +17? Again, you don't really get many scary mix-ups from DSS, but you can easily transition into his poking again with DSS forward 2. 12 frames is 3-4. Nice lick of damage. The problem with 3-4 is this. The key thing with a 12 frame punisher is being able to punish get up forwards. Law's 3-4 doesn't actually reach get up forwards. So what you want to do for punishing get up forwards? Up forward 1-3. That is guaranteed. At 14 frames, hey, we talked about this. One of the best 14 frame punishes in the game. 15 frames, down forward 2. And delayed hop kick for 19 frames, yeah. This won't come along too often. This is an amazing tool though. This is your go-to pushback punisher as well for stuff like Death Fist or Heihachi's forward 2. Crouching, let's talk about his crouching punishment. At 10 frames, kick jab. There aren't that many moves in the game anymore that leave you in crouching at -10. I can't think of any, actually. 11 frames, you have while standing 4. You can also do while standing 4 into DSS. But while standing 4 by itself is fine because you're at +7 and you can continue pressure with like down forward 1 or whatever. I-12, you can use this from standing or crouching, up forward 1-3. 13 frames while standing 1-2, which is pretty good. 15 frames while standing 2, nice lick of damage. And of course, delayed hop kick at -19. So let's go into combos. I'll give you a brief combo structure. You start your combos with 4 up 3. Yeah? And then from there, you have a bunch of options of how you want to continue on from filler. You can go into DSS and do DSS 3, which is a bit tight actually. You can do forward 4-3, or you can do back 2-1 loops. So maximum of 3, I believe. Yeah, but you generally want to stick to 2. Stick to 2 because that's his bread and butter. Enders, you want to stick to easy damage. Let's pretend we're on a Waller stage, 4-4-2-1-3. Pretty easy. What you really want to do, though, is that, yeah? Run up 4-3 to legend kick. That's generally what you want to do on Waller stages. But he also has a bunch of wall carry enders as well. One of which is down 2-3. Yep. One of which is forward 4-2-3. Yeah. And that has a really far wall span, actually. You can also use 3+4 as well. But, like, let's just go through a full rounded combo. And wall splat is generally that. 4-3 to DSS 4-3. Always has been. You can also end with Okizeme as well, which might be useful on waller stages. Yeah, that leaves them quite close. Unfortunately, you can't go into crouch after forward +3 to enforce a crouching mix-ups. To do this, you want to do running forward 3+4. That's how you do the input. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers his combo routes. To end off this, I just want to give shout outs to some of the best lore players in the world. If you want to watch anyone and get some pointers or tips on how to play lore, I have to first give out a shout to Double, Japanese lore player. He's probably the most by the book lore, but I think he's certainly one of the best in the world. Probably the best Korean lore is Low High. Amazing execution, really solid player, plays everyone, one of the best players in the world. Malgu doesn't play that all that much these days, but back in the day, he was generally regarded as like one of the best lore players in the world. When it comes to the American side, well, of course, I have to give a shout out to Rip. A lot of people think of Rip as a nut, and he knows when to turn on the nuttiness with lore, but Rip is at his core a very solid, experienced player, but he liberally sprinkles it with nuts. Dritten Rama, I think one of the best European lores, German player, really, really strong. Going over to the European side. Gossane, probably the best Tekken 7 lore, really, really good. The best old school EU lore was Cobra Commander. He doesn't really play much Tekken these days, but I gotta give a shout out to Cobra, good friend of mine. Nameless King, yeah, Nameless King, another good lore player. Just Frame James, of course. Like, I haven't seen him play much Tekken 7 or lore. He's more of a Yoshimitsu player these days, but of course, got to give out a shout out to Just Frame James as well. Yeah, he's a party lore as well. American lores tend to be party lore. Because he's a Yoshimitsu player, he likes to use every trick in the lore Bible. That is lore in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. If you enjoyed, if you found it informative, please like, subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.